In this video, we're going to look at similes. So what are similes? A simile is a figure of speech. It's a comparison of two things, usually using the words as or like. So, here's some examples. Her eyes were as blue as sapphires. So it compares her eyes to sapphires. Her teeth were as white as snow. They sing like angels. His woolen scarf hung around his neck like a dead skunk. So, why should you care about similes? Well, similes can be a great way to explain or promote an idea. Now, they're far more common in creative writing than they are in business writing. They're used to create a mental picture. So let's look at some examples. Holmes looked at him thoughtfully like a master chess player who meditates his crowning move. So now you've got an idea of how thoughtfully he looked at him. It creates that mental picture. The water made a sound like kittens lapping. Sometimes it can be about sounds as well, so you're now imagining kittens lapping at some water. Well, that's the sound you can hear. Dark trees bending together as though whispering secrets paints that image of trees swaying in the wind. Meaningless as the syllables of an unknown tongue. So not just meaningless, but completely meaningless, like you don't know what it means at all. So let's carry on thinking about why you should care about syllables. Well, we did say you can also use them in business writing, and used sparingly in business writing, they can be memorable and impactful. So here's an example. Plan A would be like throwing the pilot out of a stricken aircraft to make it lighter. Now, Plan A might be something very complex, but this simile makes it clear what you think about Plan A. In other words, you think it's counterproductive. Be careful with similes in business writing though, because a tired simile, a cliche, can sink you. And also if you overuse similes in business writing, they can portray you as flippant or dull. So here's one. As much use as a chocolate teapot. Well, you might not have heard of that simile before, but take it from me, it's very common and it's a bit boring. So this idea of how a simile can sink you was captured by the painter Salvador Dali, who said, "The first man to compare the cheeks of a young woman to a rose was obviously a poet. The first to repeat it was possibly an idiot." Now, if we're going to talk about similes, we have to talk about metaphors, because they're quite similar. Now, a metaphor, and we do have a video on that, asserts that one thing is something that it literally isn't. So a simile is a comparison using as or like, but a metaphor states that something is something else. So John is like a weasel. John is a weasel. So quite similar, but one is a simile, the comparison, the other that states that it is something is a metaphor. Let's look at another example. Her focus was like a laser. That's the simile. A metaphor, again similar, her focus was a laser. Something equals something else, that's a metaphor. Her laser-like focus fixed on her rivals. So you can see her focus was like a laser, but we've just mixed up the way that it's presented, but it's still a simile. Her laser eyes fixed on her rivals. Now, the thing about metaphors is it's not always something is something. They can also be created by using non-literal words. So here we've got laser, an adjective describing eyes. Well, clearly her eyes are not lasers. That's what makes it a metaphor. So let's summarize. A simile is a comparison of one thing with another thing of a different kind, usually using the word like or as. Run like the wind. That would be a simile. Thanks for watching. Be sure to check out some of our other videos on grammarmonster.com. We're also on Twitter and Facebook.